Good morning, everyone. Today's first day of school for many of the children here. And they're, yes, excited and a little, scared. Yep, new school year. And I remember when I went to, okay, not kindergarten, but from first grade to sixth grade, uh, I went to school with always the same kids. I'm not kidding. My whole classroom was always the same kids. We just had different teachers from year to year, but us kids, everybody moved together to the next grade. And now it seems like oftentimes they're some of them still together, some not. And interestingly enough, my youngest daughter, who was the only one that went from first grade, now I didn't send her to kindergarten. What for? That was to me, it's like, nah, she can stay another year at home. I can teach her all the basics, this and that. Sure enough, by the time she went to first grade, she already knew how to read. She knew a lot of math, this and that, and all kinds of other things. So she was way ahead of most of the students when it came to many different things. But she was the only one that went from first grade all the way to high school, to public school. I homeschooled for 10 years, all my other children. And she too, she seemed to be moving, okay, small mountain community. And in the school that she was in, small school, they all moved together. And so for her, it wasn't like, oh, I have to make friends again or whatever, because now the other ones are in alphabet, they're still in the playground or whatever. But for her, it was the same thing. I remember she had 2 or 3 friends. They were as close knit as they could be as friends, and all through elementary school, always in the same classroom. Yes, yeah, and it also okay, proud mom. Okay, all right, now I'm bragging. Their classroom, my youngest daughter's classroom, they were always ahead of everyone. They were the smartest kids in there. They had the highest grades, and who knows what. And I remember always at the end of the school year, they had giving out awards and who had the highest in science and math and reading and all that jazz. And there was two or three in my daughter's class, and they raked it all up. My daughter often got the most. Okay, there was one other boy that was pretty close, but my daughter always got the highest achievements of it. uh, oh my gosh. Anyway, so um, I wish they kind of still would do that, pay a little bit more attention to why are you separating these children out that have made friendships, because that's helping them, right? Stay secure, this and that. Also, little cliques together, okay, that are not mean and hateful and bullies, this and that. They protect each other that way too, right? When you stand alone, yeah, you become more easily a target. So yeah, I'm just saying. Uh, which brings me to another thing that I said. Okay, so a little bit separate. Can we just stop blaming Satan for everything when things are not going well? Because Satan doesn't have anything to do with you getting up in the morning better or not, or things happening out there. We have free will. And we also can choose. We have the freedom to choose, okay? Our own behavior, right? We do. We really do. So where does schizophrenia come in? I was, okay, you know what? There are influences out there in the world, on earth, not in spirit, not happening, coming from somewhere else or someone else doing per se. Yes, I know I've talked about spirits that can influence you in the principles of love, where they do kind of take over, but they're not taking over because they're evil either. Okay? I've learned so stop blaming Satan out there or evil spirits that are doing things that then you are going to be doing. That's ridiculous. To me, that's ridiculous. And I had to learn about that as well. Even though I have so much give and take with spirit world, I've seen a lot, this and no, it's not like, oh, okay, just saying. I think if anybody has watched my videos or enough of them, you know how this works within me, how spirit world works together with me, and I with spirit world, and why I'm spiritually open and all that kind of stuff, and how that actually works in a person's life. Well, I can say that because I am me, I know. Does it work for everybody that way? Hell, again, where are you going to put your trust? My center is my heavenly parent. It's God, the creator, and nothing else, including Jesus, including true parents. My center, I have learned from Jesus and true parents, is God and no one else. And if I take my directions and guidance from that source, the actual true source, huh? Oh, then I just got really appreciative, very just, huh. If you're in tune with spirit world, anything that you say or do, and it really comes with a sincere heart to mind, then you immediately are being embraced. You immediately are getting the rewards. That's how it works. Yes. That's my center, and nothing else. Yes. Yeah. So when people have other centers, I don't know what comes their way, even if they are spiritually open or this or that. Right? Yes. And of course, the excuses, again, blaming Satan or evil spirits for things that are happening on earth here, right, through us, then that's just an excuse. Don't blame something else out there that you full well know is your own manure pile. Yes? Anyway, so that's one thing that I wanted to say, start out with. So from true parents through the through Jesus, I learned love is it. You've got to be able to love. Okay, I've talked about this before. What's love? Tell me, yay. Right? Yes, is being on one side or the other, and then going to war and killing a whole bunch of people. Is that love? Well, I'm protecting the rights of, and then yeah. Is that love? Some people would consider that love. Okay, blaming everything else out there on something that we have no control over. That is that, and acknowledging that, and hey, is that love? Or is it just excuses? Excuses to not then have to actually do it the right way, which is, after I read the Divine Principle and been, many, many years a part of the Unification Church, now Family Federation for World Peace, the way that true Father, explained the restoration path of it all, it was like this, yeah, yeah, why didn't I come up with that? Right? Why did I not realize that? Of course, that's exactly it. Rehabilitate. What do we do with things that are out of hand? Drugs, alcohol, certain other things. You go, if you want to get out of it, you rehabilitate. Yes? Okay. Restore. And the one thing then that I realized with my spiritual, suddenly the doors that all opened up when it came to spiritual work, yes, it is work, became endless. And I was drawn into a whole other set of studies where I had to, okay, now I can write some things that I write, understand, and start to compartmentalize my experiences and why I'm having those, for what reason, what purpose, what's the purpose of them, right? I'm here on earth, what am I going to do with all this stuff coming from spirit world? Oh, become a psychic and start doing readings for people, and oh yeah, let me fix your life, right? Yes, okay. Or tell you what your loved ones are doing. Yeah? What are they wearing? They're all fine. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. And make a bunch of money. I could, I guess. Yes. No, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not that kind of psychic. I'll tell you, you need to do this, 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 and this. That's what you need to restore, because that's what I see around you. Or rather, that's why you're having the problems you're having. And it's spirits. Spirits are not evil spirits. You can't be an evil spirit in spirit world. We like that, don't we? Again, this is something. No, it's not like here on earth. Here on earth, you have the run of the mill. You can do whatever you want. You literally can, and get away with it. If you have enough money, enough power, you can get away with whatever. You can. Yeah, on a small scale too. You can get away with whatever. And spirit world doesn't work like that. No, you don't have to run. You don't have that kind of freedom there. Unless you are a well-developed spirit. And otherwise, you are literally placed where you belong, according to your behavior here on earth. And your actions. And certain other things. Yes? Yeah. That's how it is. When a spirit is on the restoration path, that's the only time, that is, please listen, the only time that they are even capable of actually visiting Earth, visiting their relatives, visiting whatever. I call it visiting. And yes, they come with baggage on their shoulder, on their spirit. They come with darkness. That's not evil. That's just stuff that needs to be restored. And the best way to restore it is usually through the descendants. So I said, if your ancestors didn't take care of certain things, that was a sin, this and that, go to spirit world, guess who's going to carry it? Guess who's going to suffer under it? Guess who's going to have to overcome? You do. Just saying. That's the simplest way I can say it. So instead of, when things go on, to look at something as, oh, that's just evil. Ooh, look at it, go, oh, these are spirits that are looking for restoration, and they can only do it through us. How? By us not doing what they've done, by restoring the sin that they've created. Yes, created. That's how it works. Well, how do you know what sin it is? Well, it's not that hard to figure that out. What's bothering you in your life? What is a constant setback? This or that. So what do you do? Then you figure that out. So what do? You start to pray. And you start to teach the restoring spirits that are here on earth. There's a lot. Yes. Lots and lots and lots. The havoc that they... Okay, so I've given this example before. When a person has suicidal tendencies, right, or even commits suicide, there is always a process beforehand. Of course, you don't see it on the person. It's all up here in their mind or in their heart, right? Yes? Do you see the pain? If you just walk down the street, this and that, and you see people, do you see the pain in their heart? No, you don't. Do you know their thoughts in their mind? No, you don't. Right? Yes? Hey, if you can read people, you can tell sometimes. You can tell, oh, something's not quite right. Right? Even if they smile and this and that at you, you really look into their eyes, you can see some. The eyes usually don't lie. It's very difficult for our eyes to lie. Yes. Yeah. That's why we don't look people in the eye often, right? Yes. So with suicides, often they have at least one spirit, sometimes more, who also have committed suicide. And due to the fact that there is something there in the person, yes, there is. You do come not just with talents, gifts that you then get to explore here on Earth. If a lot of people don't even get to do that, or don't do it, or okay, for whatever reason. But there are also in our spiritual makeup, there are some things that then we attract from spirit world. Okay? Yes? Well, okay. A simple example, plants. Some people have that green thumb. Why? Right? Some people are amazing on just taking care of children. Why? Some just are have this knack with a certain animal, like horses. Right? Yes? The whisperers of this and that. Why? Same thing. That was all good things. Right? Then there's all this. There is also the other side of that. Right? So a person who has suicidal tendencies has some spirit, at least one, around that tempts them. Right? Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Okay, from evil. It's how it is worded. So if a person can overcome the want, the need, the be so despondent to want to kill themselves, they're most likely are saving an at least one spirit, most likely, if it's just one, from their own pool of ancestors. But oftentimes it's the liberation of thousands, tens of thousands. If a person can truly overcome it, oh my gosh, why did I even try to attempt that? Why did I want to do that? And then never does it again. That's amazing, isn't it? Yes. It's the same with drugs, alcohol, if it gets out of hand, and I don't know what else. Right? The realm of love and all that. Yeah. They're restoring spirits. Mm. So, yes. I think we need to get away from the excuses that we're making for, and then we also need to get away from the excuses that we're making uh, that are caused, the problems and then I don't know what is caused by our own behavior. Mm. Well, and here is another one as well. I found, for example, that with people who get into drugs, recreational drugs, and then just are off the bandwagon and are destroying themselves or destroying their surroundings, oftentimes the relationships around them and just are in this, okay, right, are very sensitive people. They have a very, very sensitive heart. And it isn't Satan and it isn't evil spirits who are doing that, who are getting them into these addictions or any other addiction. It's oftentimes the people around them, maybe in the way that they grew up or whatever, and their heart is just too hurt. It's hurt. It needs something else. It wants something else, an escape. Yes. Yeah. Does it always work that way? No, I could keep talking and talking and talking about this, but again, we want to blame other things out there, right? I've said this, if men did not want it, and now women too, it wouldn't exist. So all you have to say is no. No. If you say no to the drugs that are not for keeping you out of pain when you had an accident, okay, you get it? or to keep you functioning. So just saying, if it's recreational drugs, there are people just are abusing, like cocaine, heroin, even marijuana, and then the prescription pills and all that, and then who knows what else, fentanyl, and I don't know what fentanyl, all this other stuff that's out there now, meth, and I don't know what. If you just dare to say no, and if enough people dare to say no, we're not, no, this is not, if it's for healing, yes, but otherwise, no, then guess what? Many countries in the world right now where people are fleeing from their countries because these drug cartels and I don't know have all taken over, and they're forcing people into I don't know what, they're horrible things. The escalation of it then, yeah, with girls being kidnapped or taken, parents even selling the girls into what exactly? Yeah, right. All this other stuff that goes with it, escalating. Who's doing that? And why are they doing it? Think. Is it because of Satan? Is it because of evil spirits? No. It's because of whoever lives here on earth decides that, okay, the spirits are trying to, for us, to, are hoping that we will abstain so they can get liberated as well due to the life that they lived, the behavior that they lived, they approved of, not realizing how destructive their life was. And on how we all become a part of these collective sins because we want something, don't need it, want something. For what exactly? To become more unhappy? Drugs and all that stuff doesn't make you happy. Not even all this stuff going on now in the realm of love where people need all these different things about sex and I don't know what. It's not making anybody happy. You can't tell me that that's making you happy. There's more stuff to be unhappy about. Right? We are doing that. Not evil spirits, not Satan. We are doing that. Just saying. Right? That's a good first realization. Then start restoring. I already told you. Many ways to do that. Conditions, fasting. Okay, don't fast yourself, starve yourself to death. Okay, do that one meal a day. Or maybe, how about a year? One meal a day that you don't eat for a year. For what? To restore one thing in your life that is just not going right. Yes? And then acknowledge. Oh, okay, so I got some visitors here, huh? So what do you actually want and need? Yes? Trying to remember, I got up about 2 o'clock this morning to go to the bathroom and something came through my mind. I'm going, I said, my dear mate, I'm still half asleep and here you are already? What do you need? Huh? Don't, it was something, some kind of a complaint that went through my mind and I'm going, oh, that's not me. I already know that's not me. And tried to get through, yeah. But because I was kind of still half asleep, yeah, going to bed, it was able to come through. And I immediately recognized it as, oh, okay. And no doubt it may have something to do with my mind's really been on the children going back to school, the bullying in school, this and that, yes. And may have something to do with that, right? Where I did have suddenly this give and take with spirit world. I call it give and take. Just call it give and take. Don't call it something negative. Where I'd say, oh, all right, let's say a prayer. Let's say a prayer right now so that you can center yourself in spirit world better. Right? there is a foundation already. It said that they can't come just here on earth and create havoc. That's not possible. That's not how spirit world works. When you go to spirit world as a spirit, you're going as a spirit. That's it. And you can't just willy nilly do whatever you want there. Okay? There are, one could say, rules. I like better foundations. And you can't crack these foundations with bad behavior there. Just saying. All you can do is try to stand on them and start building up more. Yes, just saying. And of course, reading the Bible, right? Again. But gosh, what are we reading? Is that really helpful? It actually does. It actually does. Studying anything centered upon what? Did I say? Yes. Heavenly Parent, God, the Creator, our Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother is key. And once it's centered on that, yes. Okay. Anywho, so there it is. Let's get started. Yep. We are in. I've said this before as well. I could talk about spiritual stuff the whole time here and then read and stuff. But the thing is that these are my experiences as well, right? Yeah, and I can give some of that where it belongs. But I can't do the spirit work for others. I can't do it for anyone else. I can only do it for myself, my ancestors, and my descendants. And I can guide whoever else is allowed, yes, for one reason or another, often so I get the experience, so I can teach. Yeah, you got it? Sometimes I get others that come and, oh, okay, so let's see how I'm going to deal with this or that, so that I can teach and give it to other people who need that here on earth to restore their ancestors, work for their descendants, their self. Yes? Okay. But I can't do it for anybody out there. There is no quick fix on any of this. And it's like if you constantly only sit down to eat, but you never fix a meal yourself, cook a meal yourself, what happens when suddenly your cook disappears? You're going to be sitting at a what? Table with an empty plate. Right? So you need to learn to cook yourself. Something, at least something. Right? Yes? Kind of the same way. Okay. We are in the first book of Maccabees in 11. These are such long chapters. I guess it's good. We're getting somewhere. I looked yesterday. Look at this. It's still this much to the New Testament. And that's all of the New Testament. I find this so weird. How did they have this much from I don't know when ago, right? And this is much more recent, and this is all we got? Doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, whatever. I didn't go. I wanted to go and look up what's up with the timeline here, and I'm just gonna leave it as is. We're in the Old Testament. It just gets more confusing. I made a condition. This is not about, oh, let's, it's a condition to read the Bible for the reputation of God and also restoration for true fathers. So, yes, yes. And that's why I'm doing this. And I decided to do it. It's a big job, guys. Come on now. To do it in a, what? Fun way. Now, it's not been a whole lot fun, for that matter, but in a more interesting way. Yes, I stick with it. I would say, this is the spirit world knows, but Father knows too. Father said, all this technology and all this internet and all the being able to make these videos and whatever, that's going to come in really, really handy. Right? It'll be a good tool, right, for the right people. Or this or that. I have to say, yeah, he's right. If I'd had to just read this at home, I probably would, but not as excited and as consistent as I'm excited as I'm doing it in this way. So, anywho, let's get going here. Dear me, talk. Hey, I did not start this. You guys did. There was do you know how it got into all this with the Satan and the evil spirits and I don't know what? Because of some dude who decided that he needed to compare someone again to a goat. I raise goats. It's offensive to me. Okay, goats are amazing creations of our heavenly parent. Superb creation. Okay? And for people to depict others as goats, evil, satanic, is wrong. Just ludicrous, silly. I could say another few more words, but I'm not going to. So I thought, man, seriously? I teach people. Don't do that. All right. All right. Ptolemy the Fourth supports Demetrius the Second, but dies, as does Alexander Ballas. 11. The king of Egypt then assembled an army as numerous as the sands of the seashore with many ships and set out to take possession of Alexander's kingdom by a ruse and add it to his own kingdom, Uri. He set off for Syria with protestations of peace, and the people of the towns opened their gates to him and came out to meet him, since King Alexander's orders were to welcome him, Ptolemy being his father-in-law. Ooh. Oh, well, looky here. Oh. On entering the towns, however, Ptolemy quartered troops as a garrison in each one. When he reached Azotus, he was shown the burnt-out temple of Dagon, with Azotus and its suburbs in ruins, corpses scattered here and there, and the charred remains of those whom Jonathan had burnt to death in the battle, piled into heaps along his route. Okay. Ugh. You can't tell me. He said, Jonathan, high priest. You can't. Hello? They explained to the king what Jonathan had done, hoping for his disapproval, but the king said nothing. Jonathan went in state to meet the king at Joppa, where they greeted each other and spent the night. Jonathan accompanied the king as far as the river called Eleutherus, and then returned to Jerusalem. King Ptolemy, for his part, occupied the coastal towns as far as Seleucia on the coast, all the while maturing his wicked designs against Alexander. So where's Jonathan in all this now? Is he just talking? You know what? He sent envoys to King Demetrius to say, Come and let us make a treaty. I shall give you my daughter, whom Alexander now has, and you shall rule your father's kingdom. Huh? I regret having given my daughter to that man, since he has tried to kill me. What? He made this accusation because he coveted his kingdom. Having carried off his daughter and bestowed her on Demetrius, he broke with Alexander, and their enmity became open. I'm not getting this at all. What now? I'm not even. Okay, oh dear me. Ptolemy next entered Antioch and assumed the crown of Asia. He now wore on his head the two crowns of Egypt and Asia. King Alexander was in Cilicia at the time, since the people of those parts had risen in revolt. But when he heard the news, he advanced on his rival to give battle, while Ptolemy, for his part, also took the field, met him with a strong force, and routed him. Alexander fled to Arabia for refuge, and King Ptolemy reigned supreme. Zabdiel, the Arab, cut off Alexander's head and sent it to Ptolemy. 3 days later, King Ptolemy died, and the Egyptian garrison in the strongholds were killed by the local inhabitants. So Demetrius became king in the year 167. I have no idea what just happened. Oh, Demetrius survived everyone. Okay. Dear me. Wow, interesting. Yep, told you. Early relations between Demetrius and Jonathan. Oh, which reminds me from what I've talked to begin with. Power. Power is another one. Right? So what do we got going here? When you see a power-hungry person, right, this and that, I don't know what, most likely they got someone with them, like one of these guys, hanging around them. Well, they were evil. I don't know. Were they? Oh, on Earth. So there are evil spirits in the spirit world. As I said, it doesn't work that way. So when you come across someone who's really power hungry, immediately just say a prayer. Or you feel that way, you feel like you have never enough. Why do you think people get addicted to running up their credit cards though they don't need to? Can't stop ordering stuff online. Yeah, you don't think so? It's a power trip. That's a power trip. Just saying. Early relations between Demetrius and Jonathan. At the same time, so Jonathan rejected Demetrius's letter, remember? And trying to get along, and went with Alexander. At the same time, Jonathan mustered the men of Judea for an assault on the citadel of Jerusalem. I'm not getting the citadel. Is the citadel the temple? Or what place is that? And it seems to be continually occupied by whom? And they set up numerous siege engines against it. But some renegades who hated their nation made their way to the king and told him that Jonathan was besieging the citadel. The king was angered by the news. No sooner had he been informed than he set out and came to Ptolemais. He wrote to Jonathan, telling him to raise the siege and to meet him for a conference in Ptolemais as soon as possible. When Jonathan heard this, he gave orders for the siege to continue. He then selected a deputation from the elders of Israel and the priests and took the deliberate risk of himself taking silver and gold, clothing, and numerous other presents, and going to Ptolemais to face the king, whose favor he succeeded in winning. And although one or two renegades of his nation brought charges against him, the king treated him as his predecessors had treated him and promoted him in the presence of all his friends. Well, well, well. He confirmed him in the highest priesthood, again, and whatever other distinctions he already held, and had him ranked among the first friends. Jonathan asked the king to exempt Judea and the 3 Samaritan districts from taxation, promising him 300 talents in return. The king consented and wrote Jonathan a rescript covering the whole matter in these terms. A new chapter favoring the Jews. King Demetrius to Jonathan, his brother, again, and to the Jewish nation, greetings. They become brothers and enemies like this. Huh? Yes? Okay. We have written to Lastinus, our cousin, concerning you, and now send you this copy of our rescript for your own information. King Demetrius to his father, Lastinus, greetings. The nation of the Jews is our ally. Oh, so they have finally become allies. They fulfill their obligations to us, and in view of their goodwill towards us, we have decided to show them our bounty. Everybody else is dead. And the Romans, where are the Romans in all this? We confirm them in their possession of the territory of Judea and the 3 districts of Apherema, Lydda, and Ramathaim. These were annexed to Judea from Samaritan territory with all their dependencies in favor of all who offer sacrifice in Jerusalem instead of the royal dues which the king formerly received from them every year from the yield of the soil and the fruit crops. As regards our other rights over the tithes and taxes due to us over the salt marshes and the crown taxes due to us, as from today we release them all from them all. So it's still kind of the same. None of these grants will be revoked henceforth or anywhere. You will make yourself responsible for having a copy of this made, to be given to Jonathan and displayed on the holy mountain in a conspicuous place. Except for this time, it doesn't say anything about the troops. All right. Demetrius II rescued by Jonathan's troops at Antioch. When King Demetrius saw that the country was at peace under his rule and that no resistance was offered him, he dismissed his forces and sent all the men home, except for the foreign troops that he had recruited in the foreign islands, thus incurring the enmity of the veterans who had served his ancestors. They're never happy, are they? Which seems like his own soldiers, not those foreign troops. I don't know. Let's see. Now, Trypho, one of Alexander's former supporters, noting that all the troops were muttering against Demetrius, went to see Ayamleku, the Arab who was bringing up Antiochus, Alexander's young son. Oh? And repeatedly urged him to let him have the boy, so that he might succeed his father as king. He told him of Demetrius' decision and of the resentment it had aroused among his troops. He spent a long time there. Jonathan, meanwhile, sent to ask King Demetrius to withdraw the garrison from the citadel in Jerusalem and from the other fortresses, since they were constantly fighting Israel. I thought it was so peaceful under the Demetrius' rule. So not true. God Almighty, look at all these fallible sentences. Fallible, everything. Demetrius sent word back to Jonathan. Not only will I do this for you and for your nation, but I shall heap honors on you and your nation if I find a favorable opportunity. For the present you would do well to send me reinforcements, since all my troops have deserted. Wait a minute, didn't he send them all home? Now he's telling... Oh, looky here. Jonathan sent 3,000 experienced soldiers to him in Antioch. When they reached the king, he was delighted at their arrival. I thought everything was okay. You know what? It says right here, when they saw the country was at peace under his rule and that no resistance was offered him, he dismissed his forces. Now here he's asking Jonathan for more soldiers. Gosh. But Jonathan but wait a minute. But Jonathan meanwhile sent to ask King Demetrius to withdraw the garrisons from Citadel and Jerusalem from other fortresses since they were constantly fighting Israel. But then he sends him some. Okay, you know what? I'm not even. You guys got me. I have no idea what is going on. The citizens crowded together in the center of the city to the number of some 120,000, intending to kill the king. What? What's this now? The king took refuge in the palace while the citizens occupied the thoroughfares of the city and began to attack his own people. The king then called on the Jews for help, and these all rallied round him, then fanned out through the city, and that they killed about 100,000 of its inhabitants. They fired how the heck do 3,000 soldiers kill 100,000 inhabitants? Oh, it's possible if you count the women and children. Babies. Wow, the Jews are at it again. They fired the city, seizing a great deal of plunder at the same time, and secured the king's safety. When the citizens saw that the Jews had the city at their mercy, their courage failed them, and they made an abject appeal to the king. Well, 100,000 people in a city, I must assume it's just about everyone. I don't know. Give us the right hand of peace and let the Jews stop their fight against us and the city. You know, the other sad thing is that who are the mercenaries here? Who have become mercenaries? Guns for hire. The Jews were covered in glory in the eyes of the king and of everyone else in his kingdom. He just killed a whole bunch of his own people. Are you serious? And everyone else in his kingdom? I must be missing some stuff here. I'm not getting it. Maybe I'm not reading it with. Maybe other people understand this different. I'm not getting it. Huh? Having won renown in his kingdom, they returned to Jerusalem laden with booty. But wasn't that Demetrius' domain? So they're. Okay, you know what? Forget it. Thus King Demetrius sat all the more securely on his royal throne, and the country was quiet under his government. But he gave the lie to all the promises he had made, and changed his attitude to Jonathan, giving nothing in return for the services Jonathan had rendered him, but thwarting him at every turn. Wait a minute. But they went home with a whole lot of stuff and glory. Okay, you know what? I'm trying to make sense out of this and actually what is going on and how you're going to get lost. You know, reading this, I'm thinking, is this what people, pastors, priests, and who knows what, teaches the Bible or talks about? Just pick out these little parts. Pick out the little part. If you read the whole thing, you're going to, what if, okay, at a Sunday sermon, someone were to read, a priest were to read the first book of Maccabees from 11 to 12. Just this whole part, all of it. then ask the people, are you guys getting this? Anybody getting this? Rather than just picking out little parts where then you can, attach your teachings or your preaching or whatever, and how great you are as a Christian, and attach God to it, and oh, you see how glorious they are, blah, 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 and not read any of the other stuff. Yeah. Ooh, no, don't. Do that. It's one thing to go ignorant to spirit world. It's a whole other thing again, a special realm, again, for the ones who full well knew and didn't keep and use it, but abused it. Okay. See, even with these videos that I'm making, the excuses are starting to dwindle. Can't make the excuses anymore. I'm telling you. Is it? Just okay. All right, where were we now? We still have so much to go. Okay, not that much, but enough. Jonathan opposes Demetrius II. Simon retakes Beth Sur, the Hazor incident. All right, big old overhead here. After this, Trypho came back with the little boy Antiochus, who became king and was crowned. Oh, so he finally got him? All the troops that Demetrius had summarily dismissed rallied to Antiochus and made war on Demetrius, who turned tail and fled. Trypho captured the elephants and seized Antioch. Okay. Young Antiochus then wrote as follows to Jonathan. How old was he? Well, we know that Trypho spent a long time with Yamleku, the Arab, who had Alexander's young son. Okay, so young Antiochus, how old was he? Then wrote as follows to Jonathan: I confirm you in the high priesthood and set you over the 4 districts and appoint you one of the friends of the king. Oh, hey, Jonathan, you're switching camp now, eh? Oh, but it's okay because we were already told that Demetrius did not honor them. So good excuse to switch sides again. He sent him a service of gold plate and granted him the right to drink from gold vessels and to wear the purple and the golden brooch. What? He sent him a service of gold plate and granted him the right to drink from gold vessels. Okay. He appointed his brother Simon commander-in-chief of the region from the ladder of Tyre to the frontiers of Egypt. Jonathan then sent out and made a progress through Trans-Euphrates and its towns, and the entire Syrian army rallied to his support. He came to Ascalon and was received in state by the inhabitants. From there he proceeded to Gaza, but the people of Gaza shut him out. So he laid siege to it, burning down its suburbs and plundering them. Jonathan did that. The high priest of the Jews, Israel, went to Gaza and wanted to. And the people there said, no. And he did what? Sound familiar? The people of Gaza then pleaded with Jonathan, and he made peace with them. But he took the sons of their chief men as hostages and sent them away to Jerusalem. Also, yeah, you make friends like that. He then traveled through the country as far as Damascus. Jonathan now learned that Demetrius' generals had arrived at Kadesh in Galilee with a large army, intending to remove him from office, and went to engage them, leaving his brother Simon inside the country. Simon laid siege to Beth Sur, attacking it day after day and blockading the inhabitants till they sued for peace, which he granted them, though he expelled them from the town and occupied it, stationing a garrison there. Jonathan and his army, meanwhile, having pitched camp by the lake of Genazar, rose early, and by morning were already in the plain of Hazor. The foreigners' army advanced to fight them on the plain, having first positioned an ambush for him in the mountains, while the main body was advancing directly towards the Jews. The troops in ambush broke cover and attacked first. All the men with Jonathan fled. No one was left except Mattathiah son of Absalom and Judah son of Calpi, the generals of his army. At this Jonathan tore his garments, put dust on his head, and prayed. Then he returned to the fight and routed the enemy who fled. When the fugitives from his own forces saw this, they came back to him and joined in the pursuit as far as Kadesh, where the enemy encampment was, and there they themselves pitched camp. About 3,000 of the foreign troops fell that day. Jonathan then returned to Jerusalem. Done, God Almighty. Done with 11. Reading through this, really, true, not true, I don't know what. When I look at the world and what's going on today, I have to ask, is everybody taking their cues from the Old Testament here? Just wondering, because it sure sounds a lot alike when it comes to many different things. It is 5:30 this morning. Here I am. My daughter had no doubt. She's going, Mom, did you have fun with your Bible reading? Because we could hear you all the way upstairs. I don't have much more to say here. Look, it was almost an hour. I talked enough beforehand. Got things to do. Yes, I like my time in the morning before all the children get here. Yes, and I like it to be hours. I just love it. That's who I am. That's how I do things. Then when the children come, I'm good and ready for them. Yes. All right. Do I do that every day? No, it just depends on how I sleep. Ta-da. Yes. How? How can some things be done with? How can we not repeat certain things? I talked enough about that in the beginning. Start restoring. Start working on your family first. It's okay. Even if you don't have any spiritual experiences, don't have any problems. Start working on restoring your family first. Bring your family back to the center of God. You don't have to go and be religious whatever out there, or I don't know what. Just have God as the center of your family. Yes? Learn how to do the right thing. Use the 10 Commandments as a guide in your family. Yeah? Yes? To start with. Then the Lord's Prayer. You don't need that much to become centered under the umbrella of God. And start restoring. Then, a whole family, as I say, a family that prays together, stays together. Yeah, I don't think so. That's not necessarily true. But I do believe that the family that restores together has a greater chance of staying together. And prayer is a part of that as well. And a sincere, right? Be sincere about it. All right, that's all. That's all I have to share this morning. May Heavenly Parent bless and protect you, embrace you with love. Yes, I felt it. Thank you. And I will talk to you all tomorrow.